The president was tweeting quite often yesterday. It was about immigration. The president tweeted, Mexico and Canada have tough immigration laws, whereas ours are an Obama joke.
Caravan of illegal immigrants is now closing in on the U.S. border.
If law-abiding persons go to an American airport, they're barked at all the time. 6.5 billion people who aren't American around the planet can just walk across the Rio Grande and walk into the country.
It's another city in California that has voted to sue the California state.
They've recently gotten out of jail. I mean, they're a threat to the community.
The President of the United States is really disappointed in his own Department of Justice.
He said so sad that the Department of Justice and the FBI are slow walking or even not giving the unredacted documents requested by Congress, an embarrassment to our country.
Right. President Trump, his approval ratings are climbing.
A lot of Americans give him a lot of credit for what they saw with tax reform.
The Nova Nation has another national championship.
Bob Ritchie, also known as Kid Rock, probably a little disappointed. His Michigan team did not win last night.
Right, that's right.
However, Villanova did. Congratulations to the Wildcats.
You were happy this morning.
I was. My wife and I were on the Villanova Parents Committee for many, many years, and a couple of our kids went there. So, by the way, Peter Doocy is reporting for Fox News from West Virginia today on the Senate race. He was up till 2 o'clock in the morning, so I think he's probably dragging his wagon. Just saying.
Right. Okay, so those people in Villanova here legally. What about the people coming our way here would be if they arrive and stay illegally?
Are there some illegal Villanovans?
No, say they're here legally. All the Villanovans.
I didn't realize that was a question.
This is my best shot of a transition.
Right. He does these weird
it's a good
transitions,
one.
as
Right.
you know.
So
it's
there's
a
a
great one, right? Keep going.
Okay, thanks. From Honduras, they started with about 500. Then they got some other friends, around 700. Now they're estimated to be this caravan, about 1,200 people, and they're 400 miles or closer to our border. Illegals who believe people without borders should come through our borders, which sadly are too wide open. Mexico's letting them pass through. What are they going to do when they get here? The president is outraged by this and tweeted about it.
Well, it's just so unbelievable. This is the president's latest tweet this morning. A big caravan of people from Honduras now coming across Mexico and heading to our weak laws border had better be stopped before it gets there. Cash cow NAFTA is in play, as is foreign aid to Honduras and the countries that allow this to happen. Congress must act now. So the NAFTA negotiations could be affected here because of this. He could use this to negotiate differently now with Mexico. Also, he's asking for Congress to the nuclear option. He wants that nuclear option to exist so they can pass these stricter immigration laws quickly. Because right now you have to get the 60 votes. With the nuclear option, it's the majority.
You can't even get an ambassador to Germany. We have like 200 people that can't get confirmed.
Only 39% has been confirmed. For the president to introduce the suggestion of NAFTA in that tweet regarding this caravan of migrants is interesting. Is he using his Twitterverse to essentially negotiate with the president of Mexico? Hey, look, if you want better terms with NAFTA and trading with your largest partner, you better do something about these people who are marching toward our border. We do understand, according to the BuzzFeed reporter who has initiated a lot of this reporting from the scene, he says that Mexico is planning to disband the group. However, the group says we're going to keep marching toward, apparently, our southern border near Baja California, although some who are the most vulnerable may actually seek asylum in Mexico.
What are they, the Beatles? You can't disband 1,200 people. Where are they going to go? They have home addresses? Back to Honduras. By the way, Honduras, who got a lot of praise from the president when they backed our move to move our embassy to Jerusalem, but now it looks like Honduras conditions are so terrible, the exodus is in the middle of taking place.
How they get across the Honduran border so easily?
Exactly, into Mexico.
Into Mexico.
Yeah, if Mexico's saying they're going to stop them, why didn't they stop them initially?
Exactly. They can say, well, we do it every year. They knew we were. What note did they have? Hey, we are 1,000 people, and we're going to the United States. you would think that that would be a good reason to stop them if we've got such good relations with Mexico.
Well, if you don't live on the border and you don't know a lot about the immigration policies here in America, this has definitely opened up everyone's eyes, because you realize there are a lot of families out there, you probably know some of them, that did it the right way, that were on the list for years, 5 years, 7 years, without their kids, trying to get everyone over legally. And then you have this group who can just go and go up to our checkpoint down there at the border and say, I live in a violent country. I can't go back. Please keep me here in America. And legally, we have to say yes, and we have to release them into America until they have their court date.
Well, it's also expensive.
We know people who have done it the wrong way, and they're in this country, and ultimately what we need is comprehensive immigration reform. We thought that perhaps Congress was going to be able to do something about the Dreamers and the President's Wall, diversity lottery, and also migrant... what's it called?
The visas.
The migrant visa program all at once, but they did nothing. And Washington only works when we're in a crisis. Unfortunately, that's the way it's going on.
All right, this is a statement from the group. The U.S. president opportunistically invoked refugee caravans as a pretext for threatening immigrants already in the country, specifically DACA recipients, with the so-called nuclear option to remove their protections from detention and deportation. Trump is trying to turn Central American refugees and other immigrant communities against each other and use them as a bargaining chip with Mexico. I don't know what they're talking about. We just have rules. You have rules. We have rules. You got to go by these rules. And as Andrew was mentioning, it shouldn't be in the back of your mind, should they get in? Should they get preferential treatment over the people working in our country on green cards, who have applied and waiting for visas, who have done everything correct and wrote big checks, many of which not from big accounts, to get here? You are jumping the line because you say you deserve to.
Plus, it's going to tie up the court system. And when you have to go through 1,000 people, they're just going to stand there at our checkpoint and one at a time go into the rooms, sit with our border guards, and then just determine if they need asylum or not. How long is that going to take? That's going to tie up our border agents, too.
Well, the Wall Street Journal had a story late yesterday about how the Department of Justice apparently is going to speed up the quotas for the immigration judges, because they're going to have to do something like 700 cases a year, or they're not going to be judges. Right. We actually had somebody from the Libre initiative down in McAllen, Texas, Daniel Garza, with us, and he said the group, People Without Borders, that is bringing the migrants toward the United States, that group itself could be breaking the laws of USA. Listen to this.
This group really, I think at the end of the day, is doing actually more to circumvent and undermine our immigration laws. This group actually is about to violate immigration law, because you cannot aid in somebody else who is going to commit illegal entry into the United States knowingly. And that's exactly what this group is doing. In retrospect, even more so, it looks, I think, real reasonable by the president to couple, the solutions for DACA. Also, at the same time, advance a proposal that would enhance security at the border. And so there would be a very clear statement, that illegal entry is not a desirable situation.
All right, so we'll see what happens there. If they disband by Wednesday, they got the way to transport 1,200 people out of Mexico. Good luck with that, but we'll follow BuzzFeed, and of course we'll cover it here. Meanwhile, we know about the controversy in California when their governor declared unilaterally we're going to be a sanctuary state. It's a magnet, so thousands have been pouring into that state, especially to the major cities of Los Angeles and San Francisco. It makes one wonder, 3,000 miles away, and you probably where you're located, outside California, does everyone feel the same way? Up goes the hands of Orange County officials when they say, we don't want to be a sanctuary state. We're going to join the U.S. lawsuit against California, but it didn't stop there.
There are several different cities that have said we're not supporting our state and them not following federal laws, including Huntington Beach. That's the latest one. Their city council voted yesterday. It was 6-1. They voted in favor of suing the state of California.
That's right. And we've got the mayor on, because not only are they joining the federal lawsuit where Jeff Sessions sues the state of California, Huntington Beach, California is actually suing the state. And they are becoming the first community in California to sue their own state, to say what you're doing is unconstitutional.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. They voted that at Huntington Beach last night, and you see there, not only do you want to live there, you got to admire their courage to stand up to their mighty governor. The president said this through Twitter, which he's using now regularly. So sad that the Department of Justice and the FBI are slow walking or even not giving the unredacted documents requested by Congress. An embarrassment to our country. This is a totally different topic, but I thought that would lead to that. But bottom line is, we'll follow the Huntington suit, but he is really upset with this Department of Justice, is the president. because he appointed the Department of Justice head, the Attorney General. He appointed the FBI director, and now the Department of Justice has to threaten the FBI director to produce the documents for Congress so they can do an investigation.
Sure, we've seen a lot of evidence that there's been corruption at the DOJ and the FBI during the end of the Obama years. And so it would be in this administration's best interest to have all those documents come out. But they're obviously slow-walking things at the Department of Justice because they make the Department of Justice look bad. So the Republicans up on Capitol Hill have requested over 1 million documents. So far, 3,000 have been released. We've heard that number. It could be maybe a couple hundred, maybe 1,000 came out Friday into Saturday. But nonetheless, it is pale in comparison to the number of documents the Republicans say they need to figure out what
So you've
went
got
wrong.
the president telling Jeff Sessions, who's, DOJ, telling him release all of these documents. But then if the documents make the FBI, which is under the DOJ, look bad, he's in a tough position.
He is in a tough position. Well, so that's why the president says that the DOJ is slow-walking it.
But then Americans say, we want to see it. We have the right to see it. We want to know if there was anything illegal that happened.
Yeah, we're a little bit busy, but I guess it would help if they saw it and the people we elected to investigate it had a chance to see it unredacted in a way in which they would make sense. Real quick on the story with Andy McCabe, he's raised $500,000 through a GoFundMe page, which is bizarre for an FBI agent to say, help me defend myself. And people sent the money even though they don't know what he did wrong.
It's political. That's why Democrats sent the money.
But are you happy that he's accused of lying at least 4 times? Shouldn't you find out what he's investigating before you give him your hard-earned dollars?
Brian,
I didn't give any money, Brian.
Innocent until proven guilty, but nonetheless, the ethics department at the FBI said, you got to fire him because he broke the law. All right, meanwhile, 8:11 here in New York City, and it's time for news.
That's right. Good morning to you guys. Let's start with the affluenza teenager. Get you caught up on this. You know, who claimed he was too rich to know right from wrong? Well, now he's beginning his first full day of freedom. Ethan Couch released from jail Monday after spending 2 years behind bars. He's serving the remaining 6 years of his sentence under community supervision, which includes wearing a GPS monitor. Couch was sentenced to rehab and probation after he killed 4 people while driving drunk at just 16 years old in 2013. He was thrown in jail after violating that probation, then running away to Mexico with his mom. In just over an hour, all eyes will be on the stock market following a wild day on Wall Street. Stocks plummeting, marking the first quarter of negative returns since 2015. The market's falling as China slapped tariffs on American food companies, fueling trade war fears. Tech stocks also sliding as President Trump reignited his feud with Amazon. The Villanova Wildcats are national champions once again.
5 stretch. DiVincenzo breaks left alone.
Inside the game. Oh, look at this. They trying to get him to slow down.
Has another national championship.
There you have it. Top seed Villanova beating 3-seed Michigan 79-62. The Wildcats earning their second title in 3 seasons. Fans celebrating in Philadelphia, starting a bonfire in the middle of the street, and also climbing trees and light poles and basically anything they can climb, because apparently that's what they do in Philly nowadays. You know that? I mean, that's been going on for years. I remember when the Phillies won the World Series 10 years ago. They were doing that.
Doesn't the grease stay on the pole indefinitely?
You would think.
You would think. All right. Thank you, Jillian.
Yep.
All right, 13 minutes
nice
to the
big winner like that. Jillian smiles every morning because another team has won there. Yes. All right, multiple red flags missed. A brand new bombshell. Dozens of Democrats waived a background check on the man who gained unauthorized access to sensitive information. Our next guest blew the lid off the report.
And Tiger Woods in the midst of a major comeback, just as a new book reveals some stunning insights into his past, already causing some controversy. The author joined us. We'll play back some highlights.
A new investigative report revealing 44 Democrats, pictured right there, waived background checks for a Pakistani IT aide and his family accused of hacking. That includes former DNC chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She chose not to vet Imran Awan and several of his family members by using a loophole in the House security policy. Awan, who worked for Schultz and other congressional offices, was arrested for bank fraud as he was trying to fly to Pakistan. Daily Caller investigative reporter Luke Rosiak broke the story. He's been following it. He joins us live from our nation's capital. Luke, just remind folks what this guy and his family did.
Steve, the Democrats really have no room to talk about cyber meddling in Russia without addressing the deeply disturbing relationship with this guy. After he started working for Wasserman Schultz, a number of Democrats hired his whole family, and the House Inspector General determined shortly before the 2016 election that he made unauthorized access to data. He was actually impersonating congressmen and funneling data off the House network. He was even logging into the servers of members who had previously fired him and who he never worked for at all. So this is a huge deal. This is a hack on Congress.
It absolutely is. And here's the thing, Luke, there were members of Congress who are up on that board right there who knew of the problems, and they still hired the guy.
You would do more vetting when you hire a babysitter than the Democrats did when they decided to hire Pakistani citizens and give them access to all their data and emails for 1 in 5 House Democrats, including 3 members of the Intelligence Committee. If they would have done a background check, there's no way that these guys would have passed.
Well, you know, the whole relationship with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, though, is still so murky. Can you explain why she said, nah, we don't have to look into their background?
Well, so after she got mixed up with Imran Awan years ago, they put his whole family on the payroll, and one of the things the background check would have determined is that these guys didn't have any background in technology. His 4 relatives
Why'd
had
they get
no
the
training.
jobs?
One of them got fired from McDonald's. That was his most recent professional experience. The rest of them didn't even go to college for the most part.
And Congress hired them.
They hired them. They didn't vet them. They exempted them from the background checks. They paid them 4 times more than any other IT guys. And when the IG determined in September of 2016 that these guys hacked Congress, they left them on the network anyway through the election. And as you mentioned, it gets even worse with Wasserman Schultz, because finally in February of 2017, the Capitol Police had enough and they banned them. Wasserman Schultz still didn't fire this guy.
I know you feel that there will eventually be resignations from Congress because of this. Luke, keep on the good reporting over at the Daily Caller. We'll keep folks posted as well. All right, good enough. That's a crazy story. Meanwhile, President Trump telling Congress do something now about immigration, but will they deliver? We're going to talk to Senator Rand Paul next. Plus, are more parents more paranoid than ever? The mom behind the so-called free-range parenting movement says yes. Find out why. Coming up.
Where are you now?
All right, some quick headlines now, starting with the Fox News alert as you heard the bong in the background. We now know a U.S. soldier who was killed in Syria was on a kill or capture mission when he died. The Pentagon revealing that Master Sergeant Jonathan Dunbar was trying to take out a known ISIS member when he was killed by a roadside bomb last week. In fact, he was going for the leader. The decorated soldier is the first U.S. serviceman to die in action in Syria this year. And remember when President Trump called out Pakistan for how they handle terrorists?
We can no longer be silent about Pakistan's safe havens for terrorist organizations.
Well, Pakistan's army chief now approving the death penalty for 10 terrorists. The militants accused of killing 62 people and attacking security forces, but they're still a haven for the Taliban training grounds.
President Trump with a message to Congress. Do something now about immigration, he says.
So will lawmakers deliver? Let's talk to Senator Rand Paul. He joins us today. Let's see, where are you today? You're in Bowling Green.
I'm in Bowling Green, Kentucky. It's my home, and I'm glad to be home.
It's great to have you as well. All right, so, you know, there were a lot of people who were disappointed, Senator, that with the omnibus last week, that something wasn't done about DACA and ultimately immigration, because the president, as we all know, famously has 4 points, 4 pillars. Nothing got done. Doesn't seem like anything ever gets done in Washington unless it's an emergency.
Well, here's the sad thing about it. You know, a couple weeks before the omnibus, we were told we were going to have an open debate on the floor on immigration. I actually had amendments to the bill that would have actually increased legal immigration to take pressure off of illegal immigration. None of my amendments were heard. Nobody had any votes. They had 4 pre-planned votes where they already knew the outcome and they knew all four would lose. And this is a sad thing about the Senate and Congress in general. They will not vote on anything that they don't count the votes in advance and know will be defeated. So they knew from the beginning nothing would happen. They devised the votes and only allow votes that will actually fail. It was not an open debate, and this is a disappointing thing about it, but it came from both parties.
Senator, who
Democrats obstructed and were opposed to my amendments as well.
The president in his tweet is blaming the Obama administration for catch and release. Is the Obama administration responsible for that? And why hasn't something been done about that? The moment these illegal immigrants step foot on our soil, they're allowed to stay because our laws allow them to stay until they have a court hearing.
Yeah, that ought to be changed. The 1,100 people that are marching up through Mexico should be stopped at the border and they should be sent back. We should not allow people to come into our country and break the laws. I'm all for legal immigration. Immigrants are by and large good people and have added to our country. We're a nation of immigrants, but we should not allow people, particularly 1,100 of them, marching up to basically sort of thumb their nose and say, well, we don't care what your laws are, we're coming. They should be stopped at the border and sent home. If it requires a change of law, we should do it. But I think there is some leeway within the executive branch that they may well be able to do this if they want to.
Yeah, that's what I hear. That's what Judge Napolitano says, that the president can decide himself to end catch and release. So let Mexico take these 1,200 people rather than America. Let's see. Last time we ended up with a lot of gang members, MS-13. But let's move on to something I know you're passionate about, you spoke out almost immediately about, and that is the confirmation hearings that are supposed to take place in April. Mike Pompeo, as he switches from CIA to state, and Gina Haspel as she goes from deputy to head of the CIA. What's your problem with both?
Well, you know, I've been a big fan of President Trump. I've supported him for a long time, ever since I was defeated in the primary. But, you know, one of the things I really liked about him was that he's been outspoken that the Iraq War was a mistake, that regime change didn't work. It led to unintended consequences, that when we removed Saddam Hussein, we actually emboldened Iran and made Iran stronger. Now Iran and Iraq are closely allied, and there's more of a problem since we removed Saddam Hussein. So it disappoints me that some of the people he's appointed around him are unapologetic enthusiasts still for the Iraq War. Between Bolton, Pompeo, all of the others, it seems like they aren't people who share the president's vision that the Iraq War was a mistake. So I really want to support the President Trump I supported during the campaign. And so I think someone needs to speak out against having too many of these neoconservatives in the administration.
So you know President Trump's vision better than he does? And you know what he wants better than he does? You know he wants these two people in place.
Touche. But, you know, this happens in every administration. You remember even the Reagan administration, you know, so much of us loved Reagan coming in. He was a great conservative. But sometimes he appointed people who conservatives really wish were more from the conservative school. It's the same thing here. President Trump's words on foreign policy have been different than many. He's talked about not getting involved in large land wars in the Middle East again. He's talked about coming home from Afghanistan, that the mission is completed. And so, but it's a tug of war. The president will say these things, and then members of his cabinet will say, oh, no, we need to stay in Afghanistan.
You know there's a flip side to everything he's saying, Senator.
100,000 troops.
You know there's a flip side
What's
to
that?
it. If we leave Afghanistan and the Al-Qaeda comes back, we wasted our time. If we leave our presence in Syria, the Russians take over. So you know there's a flip side to everything. Nobody wants war.
I think there's another... Yeah, I think there's another way of looking at it, though. I think you can declare victory. We did get rid of the people who attacked us on 9/11, and we did disrupt the bases, and we did get bin Laden. So there has been a significant victory, and I was for that. But 16 years later, I think it's now nation building, and we're spending $50 billion a year in Afghanistan. I'd rather spend that money at home. We've got roads and bridges to fix here. So I would rather spend that money at home, and we can't really rule every country. We can't sort of institute a government we like in every country around the world. It's too expensive.
Right.
And really, sometimes it becomes murky who the good guys are. In Yemen, do we really want to send our sons and daughters to Yemen to fight in a war where I'm not so sure?
Well, if they're making shoe bombs in Yemen and they're blowing up their
well, I mean, it does sound like the president wants to get out of Syria, so stay tuned. Senator, before you go, I know you and your wife are the Kentucky chairs for Helping a Hero, and you presented the keys to a brand new house to a wounded vet. Tell us a little bit about Army Staff Sergeant Paul Brunvater.
Ron Haver, and he was, you know, injured in Afghanistan a while ago. But the cool thing about it is the whole community turned out. We had hundreds of people, all his neighbors turned out, and it was like a welcoming parade. Lee Greenwood was there singing. I mean,
Great.
it was just, it really was something to warm the heart, but also to show that, you know, we have an obligation to these soldiers, not just when we ask them to go to war, but when they come home. And this has probably been one of the best things I've been involved with. HelpingAHero.org has built over 100 houses. My wife's been an intimate part of raising money for this in Kentucky. And but I tell you, nothing warms the heart more than to see the community's outpouring of hope and generosity for these young soldiers that have been so severely wounded.
All right, so retired Army Staff Sergeant Paul Brandhaver has a brand new home there in Kentucky. Senator, thank you very much for joining us on this very busy Tuesday.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
And if you want to be part of the solution, go to helpingahero.org and help in other states and other cities. Meanwhile, 29 minutes before the top of the hour, a defying moment growing in California. More officials going against the state's sanctuary policies. The mayor of the latest city live coming up.
This topic. We've heard of free-range chicken, but now there's free-range parenting.
Yeah, I mean, the theory with chicken is you let the chicken run wild. They'll be tenderer when you kill them and eat them. So this has nothing to do with that. Lenore Skenazy joined us earlier, and Lenore is the president of Let Grow, founder of Free Range Kids Movement, which passed, actually they had to pass a law, this is tragic, in Utah, to let parents let go of their kids a little bit. Let them walk to school. Let them go to the playground. Let them play the way they want to play in the street.
Brian, you are describing how we all grew up. And now, unfortunately, because so many people are so worried about everything, you see a kid who's walking on the street unattended, you call the police and say, there's a kid walking on the street unattended.
A lot of times the parents get fined.
Well, how many times do we report on so many bad things, or you watch 60 Minutes, or you watch these stories of these crazy people that are out there, and you think, I have one child, and if something, this is what I think, I have one child, if something happened to her, I would be a shell. I'd be in the corner of my room for the rest of my life.
But the problem is, it's the stats show we're safer than ever. The kidnappings are down. All the abductions, they're out there, but they're very rare.
You just think the worst. You think the worst. We've seen too many movies. It's just hard. It's hard to let your child go.
Because it does happen every once in a while. But so many of us are helicopter parents. Here's the woman Brian talked to about this movement that's gaining steam.
Certainly when I was growing up, probably when you were growing up, there wasn't this 24-hour onslaught of horrible stories that make people so afraid. But actually, our crime rate today is lower than when we were growing up. It's back to when gas was 29 cents a gallon. That's our crime rate today. All of us look back on our childhoods when we had to organize our own games, when we went someplace, maybe we got lost and we had to find our way home. These are milestones for kids. Being given some independence means that your parents believe in you.
Right. It shows a more confident kid, a more self-assured kid. So when they go to college, they're not going to panic, so to speak. Here's the thing. They think everything's going back. They think the next generation, kids are going to be going wild, playing baseball. When the lights go out, you can go home. When the bell rings or your mom screams, that's when you come running. Those are the days. That's what we're going to.
Well, here's the problem. When we were free-range kids, we knew our way around the neighborhood. Today, unless the kid has got the smartphone with the GPS in it, they don't know how to get to the grocery store.
Parenting might be harder now, because when we were little, parents just opened up the front door, you ran out, and you came back
at supper
when you heard your dad whistle.
Right.
Exactly.
And by the way, we got a few emails, none of which the question I put up, but this was to this question. This is from
nobody responded.
Against this 100%, I'm against this 100%, also against helicopter parenting. There is a happy medium.
I agree with
Children
that.
under age 11 should not be left alone anywhere.
I agree with that, Maureen. Good job.
All right. Meanwhile, somebody else tweeted, yay, free-range parenting. Let them go outside and play. I agree with that, too.
Yeah, me too.
But it's just at what age and what's the metric? How far away from the house can you be?
Right.
It's a tough one. But it's a movement, free-range parenting.
Remember, Willie Robertson told me he had a tractor and a rifle at 6. So, I mean, that's a little different than I had.
I understand, but there was nobody around him for 5 square miles.
Yeah, my brother had a BB gun, used it irresponsibly, blew it for all of us. Yeah.
That was the gun at your house, a BB gun?
That was it. That's all I got. Okay. They told him not to shoot the shed, he shot the shed.
Those are also the days when you wouldn't lock your doors at night. I mean, it was a different world then.
Right.
So,
It was.
I don't know. That's my 2 cents.
Times have changed.
I don't have kids, so my opinion doesn't matter. But anyway, let's get you caught up on your news of the morning, starting with this. We're now learning special counsel Robert Mueller was secretly authorized to investigate former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort's work for the Ukrainian government. This, in addition to alleged collusion with Russian officials in the 2016 election. The classified August memo from Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein was disclosed in a court filing by Mueller's prosecutors. They're using it to counter arguments by Manafort's lawyer challenging the scope of the investigation. Manafort has said the charges he faces have nothing to do with his work on the Trump campaign. He has pleaded not guilty in both of his cases. A 13-year-old boy now safe at home following a frantic 12-hour search across Los Angeles. Jesse Hernandez falling through a wooden plank at a park near the iconic Hollywood sign, plummeting into the city's sewer system. Rescuers able to find him after seeing his handprints captured by a camera lowered into the pipe.
Yeah, it was dark. Couldn't see anything. I thought I was gonna die. I didn't.
Wow, he was then rushed to a hospital and shortly released after that. That is just crazy. All right, shocking moments as a laptop left charging explodes, burning down an office building. The building owner getting an intruder alarm when his computer blew up at his desk. His office filled with flames. Some lithium-ion batteries are prone to overheating, and this laptop may have been a recalled model. The owner is warning others not to leave similar batteries charging for too long. A new Tiger Woods biography is stirring controversy. His camp says the book, without touches on the highs and lows of his career, which touches on the highs and lows, is filled with errors. One of the authors joined us earlier to defend his work.
It's one of the best sports stories, perhaps, of our time. If you look at where he was a year ago, nobody would have imagined that just 10 months later, he'd be as healthy and winning the way he is now. It's a great thing to watch. It's inspiring whether you like golf or not.
Woods is one of the favorites at this week's Masters, coming off back-to-back top 5 finishes. The Masters. So excited.
I know. So
it's going to be great. Let's see how he does.
Yep.
Thank you, Jillian.
Thank you. A defying movement growing in California. More officials going against the state's sanctuary policies. The mayor of the latest city to sue California coming up next.
And what is America's most popular dog breed? Did your pup make the cut? We've got the top 3.
Most popular. What would y'all say? I would say golden retriever or a lab.
I think Adam.
The party was spiced, the party was jumping.
Here's some quick headlines for you. Heart monitoring data from an Apple Watch is now being used as key evidence in a murder trial in Australia. Caroline Nilsons is charged with beating her mother-in-law, Myrna Nilsson, to death last year. Caroline told police that Myrna was attacked by a group of men and argued with them for 20 minutes. But a forensics expert says the dead woman's smartwatch narrows the time for when she was attacked to when she died to a 7-minute window. And your Google and Amazon devices could soon be eavesdropping on your every move. According to a New York Times article, the companies are filing patents that would use its devices to track audio and visual signals. The data could be used for ad targeting. Really?
It's all about the ads. Meanwhile, a growing movement in California. More local communities speaking out against the state's sanctuary policy.
Overnight, while you were sleeping, Huntington Beach City Council wasn't. They voted 6-1 to direct their city attorney to challenge California's sanctuary law themselves. So, what happens next?
Well, joining us now to weigh in on this is the mayor of Huntington Beach, California, Mike Posey. Mike, thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Good
Yes, I think last night we made history in that Huntington Beach is the first city in California to sue the state of California for the constitutional overreach of SB 54. So we also filed an amicus. We will be filing an amicus brief to join Jeff Sessions' efforts as well. And then last night certainly was you can see it was a pretty raucous meeting. We had about 112 public speakers. Typically we have 15 to 20. I think the most we ever had was about 3 years ago when we repealed the plastic bag ban. We had 70 speakers, but last night
this is bigger than plastic bag ban. Absolutely, including Congressman
much bigger.
Congressman Dana Rohrabacher, I know, was there in support of what you did. What's your message to Sacramento? What are they getting so wrong about this?
My message to Sacramento is pretty clear. Sacramento is engaging in the usurpation of local control and telling cities like Huntington Beach throughout California that you are to disobey federal law, disobey the Constitution, and follow the diktats of Sacramento. There are other issues, too, that we're going to be looking at as well. I have a town hall coming up on April 28th. We're going to talk about Assembly Bill 109, Prop 47, and Prop 57. So we have more work to do, that's for sure.
So can you give us the practical implications when a governor declares a state a sanctuary state? How has it affected Huntington Beach?
Well, the practical application of it is there isn't really much, because what our police department has been doing is working with the immigrant community, establishing relationships, engaging in community policing. We've only had to engage ICE twice in the last year, and one was a felon that voluntarily asked to be deported. He wanted to go back home. And another one was a very dangerous individual that was deported. So our message really isn't about attacking the immigrant community, because we don't. What we want to do is challenge the constitutional overreach and the usurpation of local control. That's our issue. That's our message. And of the 112 speakers, I think, about 5 or 6 of them really understood what the underlying message was and addressed that specific.
Well, Mr. Mayor, describe for us, for our viewers, what California is like, because many people on the East Coast think California, everyone there is liberal. They're not surprised when something like this happens, when California becomes a sanctuary state. But you live in, I guess, is it a conservative area? Is the southern part more conservative, and then the northern part, we hear about San Francisco being more liberal? What is the makeup, and what are the residents saying about all of this?
Well, Huntington Beach, as you know, is really in the heart of Orange County, and Orange County is a conservative-leaning region of the state. Sacramento, we know, at least for Californians, know that we have a Democrat supermajority in both the state legislature and in the California Senate. We also have a Democrat governor. What we end up with Democrat supermajority is a lack of checks and balances. So the Republicans don't have a voice at the table. And I was up in Sacramento September 15th last year watching firsthand the debate about SB 54. Right. And I watched our Assemblyman Travis Allen deliver his impassioned plea, and our other Assemblyman Matt Harper delivered their impassioned plea in opposition to SB 54. Okay. And it really doesn't matter to the Democrat supermajority legislature and Senate. They just kind of do what they want. Well, and we're going to challenge them.
And you are. Next stop, court. All right, Mayor, thank you very much.
Thank you.
After a late night, getting up early for us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And now you can go surfing like everyone in Huntington Beach. All right, 10 minutes to people at the top.
Okay, coming up, we reveal the nation's most popular dog breeds.
They don't know yet. Don't say anything. Bill Hemmer's here. He's popular.
Right on. Short-haired yellow lab. Hey. Mark it down. It's good. Morning, guys. Breaking overnight, the president's active on Twitter. What is on his mind this morning? A big new push on immigration. What the White House is trying to do about that today. Markets were hammered. Does the slide end today? And Andrew McCabe's wife goes public. First time now what she's saying in her husband's defense. Great lineup, important topics. Come join us, guys. 10 minutes away. Top of the hour.
All right, this morning we're revealing America's most popular dog breeds.
That's right. Joining us now, American Kennel Club Executive Secretary Gina DiNardo. Gina, you've been on our show a bunch of times. So everyone wants to know, did their dog make the list?
Okay, so we've got the top 3. Number 3, the former Deucey dog, the Golden Retriever.
That's right. Number 3, most popular breed in America. Friendly, eager to please, easy to train. Happy, go lucky.
Mackenzie will not leave his hand.
You see it? He is falling asleep in my hand.
This is an 8-week-old puppy. She's been running around all morning, so she's taking a nap now.
That's going to be hard to give up.
I know. It's unbelievable.
Number two
the German Shepherd.
That's right, the German Shepherd dog. Probably the most versatile breed that there is. Highly trainable, very naturally protective. They do have a shedding coat that sheds about twice a year. This is a very
smart. These are the ones we see in the airport. Military.
Yep, they work for our country, protecting our borders.
Do you worry about overbreeding?
No. I think that responsible breeders breed, and there's no issue.
They know what they're doing. Right. And the number one most popular dog in America, the Labrador Retrievers. You've got
That's right. 27 years in a row, America's most popular breed. They have a nice double water-resistant coat, thick otter tail that helps them swim. If you're an active of family. It's a perfect breed for you.
Now, what about the dog right in the end?
So that's a black lab. So they come in, and this is a yellow lab. They come in 3 different colors.
Oh, look, he's chewing off the tape mark for the 5.
Now Gutfeld doesn't know where to go.
I have to tell you, this is the most well-behaved puppy I've ever
They're
held.
super socialized. She comes out and about with her owner.
Is that one adoptable?
It's
no.
it's sorry.
We already told no.
Mackenzie, say hi.
Right. You know what's amazing? They all get along. And what do you think the American family likes in these dogs?
I think they're friendly. They get along well with other people. They're easy to train. They're not hard to take care of in terms of maintenance, coat care, things like that.
They will tear up your house.
They will tear up your house. So be prepared.
For 3 years, they're puppies, and they will destroy your house. But it is worth every
minute of it, right?
Gina, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thanks for everybody bringing their dogs here today.
And if you don't have any of these dogs, you're with losers. Okay? And that's it. You're not a winner. All right, so
that includes you then, Brian.
I know. My Great Pyrenees, distant 25th. Whoa.
More Fox and Friends coming up.
Crying all the time.